Okay, so we have our two-piece sleeve here, which literally means it's in two pieces. So the under sleeve here and the upper sleeve here, both of them have interfacing around the hem. Remember I said before that the hem is 5 centimeters, but the interfacing I've made wider so it supports the crease around here. We also have notches, so we've got a notch, 2 notches here, and 2 notches at the back. The back ones don't have to be a double notch because the seam allowances, the seams are actually like, it's obvious enough which ones go with which. And I've got the right sides together, so I'm sewing the inside of this one here. So you'll see here there's going to be a point here because I'm matching the stitch line. So the stitch line is down here. So don't match those 2 points up because then you're missing all of this fabric here. I'm going to match the underarm notches. So again, just sew down to the notch. And there's a tiny bit of an angle at the bottom here as well. So we stop at the 5 centimeter mark and then we change the angle to follow that out. Starting from the bottom this time, matching our notches up here. Okay, so there are underarm seams. So I'm going to press these open now. I'm also going to press the side seams open and then we'll sew our sleeve in. Okay, so I've stitched my seams on my two-piece sleeve and I've pressed them open using the sleeve board, and I've also pressed open my side seams on the jacket body. Now, like I said before, we've got a two-piece sleeve on one side and a one-piece sleeve on the other side. So this is my the two-piece sleeve goes on this side of my jacket, and of course when you're doing yours you'll have one or the other, you won't have both, but I just wanted to show you a bit of a refresher on sewing both of them in. Okay, so before we start pinning it into place, what I'm going to do is just run a stitch around. So this is like an easing stitch. So there's only 1 centimeter of ease in the front and the back, which shouldn't be too hard to fit in, but just it'll depend on the fabrication. So this is sort of just a bit of a just making it a bit easy for ourselves. So all I'm doing is holding my finger behind, and you can see how that's creasing up. It's not really a gather, and it's not pleats, but it is just a way of squashing the fabric together a little bit, just so that you can see that. So see how, like, you can actually see the ease there. And sometimes, depending on the fabric, again, you can do that and then it'll actually squeeze it up too much. So we'll just see how we go. So, all right, so and I know I said before about trying to get away from using pins. I think this is actually a good instance where pins do come in handy because you're working with two very different shapes, like a convex and a concave circle. or convex and concave angles, curves. There we go. It just makes it easier for you not to have to, hold all of these strange shapes together as you're going around the armhole. So you'll have a shoulder notch, a back and front armhole, and sleeve head, balance notches, and then an underarm one as well. And you can see here that that's actually really gathered that up quite nicely there for us. So that should be pretty easy to sew. I usually start at the underarm, and I usually sew with the armhole on top, because that's the smaller one, so it helps you to control the fabric that's underneath. So again, go nice and slowly, there's no need to rush. Now there shouldn't be any ease between the underarm, well, there generally isn't any ease between the underarm and the balance notches, so they should just fit nicely together. And the trick when you're sewing the sleeve into the armhole as well is just to make sure that you've got the raw edges lined up. So the raw edge of the sleeve head and the underarm. And you can see that. You can just see the little wiggly bit under there. Again, I'm just doing it bit by bit. And I usually don't like to sew over pins, so I pull the pin out just before I get to it. It's actually going in quite nicely. A drill's pretty easy to work with as well, and calico would probably be the same, but yeah, it'll just depend on the fabrication you're using. Some people, as well as having the front of the garment interfaced, they will also interface the sleeve head, which makes it a little bit easier to handle as well. Okay, so back to my underarm. So now I can just push that out, and I can see that's actually worked in quite nicely. Usually with a tailored sleeve, you'll have some roll in the sleeve head, and you can see that on the tailored jacket video, which the video about setting in the sleeves. I'm not going to put any in this one right now. And you can also see a little bit of that that stitch line, the original stitch line that I did. Again, it wouldn't be as noticeable if it was matching thread, but you would still unpick that and take it out so you don't see that stitch line there.